Hiya! 2018 is here, so it's time for an annual tradition on this channel. Here are my top 5 TV shows of 2017. Before we get started, I want to give an honourable mention to Jane the Virgin. Jane the Virgin is a dramatic, brilliant and hilarious TV show. It's about a girl called Jane who is a virgin. She's waiting till marriage, but then gets accidentally artificially inseminated, and it just so happens that the father of this unborn fetus is a millionaire slash her old crush, which sort of puts a wedge in her relationship with Michael. And before you think that this show is going to be a preachy show, it's not. It's completely different to what you expect. It's a telenovela format, so it's just completely nuts and like out of this world. And for any Jane the Virgin fans watching, I want it to be known that I am and forever will be Team Michael. Now let's start the list. At number 5 we have the brilliant Netflix original sitcom One Day at a Time. So One Day at a Time is about an American Latino family. So at the start of the show is Penelope, the mother, and she lives with her mother who thinks she's right about everything. And then Penelope's 2 children, Elena and Alex. And I love Elena so much. She's my favourite character. This show feels very real, and the reason it resonated with me so much was because of some of the topics it faced were very hard hitting, but while at the same time making you laugh. Like some of the topics it handled was dealing with alcoholism and being an addict, racism, sexism, mental health issues, and it had a coming out story as well. It's unlike any TV show I have seen. Another reason to watch this TV show is that it has a great opening song. It'll be stuck in your head long after you finish the show. At number 4 is Shadowhunters. Now this show is based off the book's Mortal Instruments. However, before going in, I had never read the books nor have I seen the film adaptation. So I went in completely blind, and I think the reason I grew to love this show so much was because I hadn't seen the source material. So I had no idea what it was meant to be like. I was just pleasantly surprised the whole time. But since going into the show, I've started to read the books which are behind me here. So far I've only read the first 2, but I look forward to finishing the rest of the books and also the spin-off series. My love for Shadowhunters was very weird to me because I don't particularly have a favourite character. I sort of like everyone, especially Magnus, ALEC and JACE, but I don't have one dead-on favourite character. I think for me it was more of the story that grabbed me because it takes the supernatural story that everyone knows and sort of spins it on its head. Shadowhunters is about a girl called Clary who on her 18th birthday finds out she is a Shadowhunter. And a Shadowhunter is an angelic being which protects the mundane world, our world, from demons. And Shadowhunters are also there to maintain the peace in the downworld. And the downworld consists of all your supernatural creatures. Your warlocks, your werewolves, your vampires, your fairies, you name it, they have them. What I really like Shadowhunters does isn't to show you the Shadowhunter world, but it also has main characters from each group of downworlders and shows their viewpoints. Originally, we are taught that the Shadowhunters are the good guys, you know, they're trying to save the world, but then as the show goes on, you sort of realise that this isn't a democracy, it's more of a dictatorship. You're sort of unintentionally led to question, are the Shadowhunters the good guys in this? Another great thing about the show is the diversity of the cast and the representation the show provides. So far the show has a bisexual character, a gay character and his coming out story, and also for the first time ever on TV that I've seen, an asexual character. And I really hope that in the future of the show they look more into the asexual character and what it means to be ace, because I haven't seen any storylines on TV about asexual characters, so I think it's about goddamn time. At number 3 we have the brilliant show that can only be described as a drama, comedy, mystery, detective show, and that is iZombie. iZombie was completely different to what I expected going in. It's not your typical zombie story. The show is about Liv Moore, who has become a zombie, and in the lore of iZombie, a zombie can be practically human and be sane and pass for human as long as they keep eating brains regularly. Liv stops working at a morgue and we find out that that when you eat the brain of the deceased, you not only gain some of the traits and skills of that person, but can trigger memories from the deceased. And Liv uses this to help her detective friend Clyde Babanos solve homicides. If it sounds completely insane and weird, that's because it is. And every episode we see Liv eat new brains and she practically becomes a new character, and it's a real credit to her as an actress and all the zombie actors, because damn, it must be hard to just completely reinvent your character every time you have some new brains. The writing on iZombie is just so fab. There's never been an episode that bores me in this show. It's just constantly at the top of its game. At number 2, we have the time traveling show that is timeless. Now, the thing that really intrigued me about Timeless before I started watching it was that it originally, after season 1, was cancelled, but because the outcry from the fans was so huge after it got cancelled, the network came out and uncancelled it and then renewed it for season 2. And hearing that, I thought it must be a pretty good show for it to come back from the dead. And I was right. It is a gem. I'm gonna have to be pretty broad with the plots to not give much away, but what Timeless is about is a terrorist called Flynn who steals a time ship and starts to go back in time and rewrite American history, and the only other time ship remaining is the lifeboat that can only fit 3 people in it. So they enlist the help of Rufus, the only other person who can drive a time ship, Lucy, an expert in history, and Wyatt, a soldier. And they have to follow Flynn and his team back in time to stop him from meddling with history and preserve the present. And it's a really interesting show to watch, and each episode, the set and costumes are beautiful. And especially for me as a British person who doesn't know a lot about American history, especially some of the smaller things that are covered, it's really interesting to watch. And I know obviously it's a fiction show, the history is not always going to be accurate, but there is certain things that I've learned more about watching the show. And as well, the social commentary on this show is quite funny. So when they go back in time, you have Wyatt who's going out all guns blazing, and then you have Rufus and Lucy who are stood in the back like, yeah, the past isn't so fun for a black man or a woman, maybe we should hurry this along. It's a really interesting show, especially that the social commentary it has on America and the government and the rich, and this sounds like it's gonna be like a political show, but it's not. Those are the undertones of the show, but first and foremost it is a sci-fi show about time travel. And now the number 1 place goes to 2 shows. I could not mention one without mentioning the other, so they both get to share this spot, and these 2 shows are The Vampire Diaries and The Originals. Probably not a surprise for anyone who's watched my videos this past year. For some reason I am incredibly late to the Vampire Diaries game and only managed to watch it for the first time this year, and I really loved it. Season 2 onwards I thought it was great, and it really just ignited a supernatural love in my heart. And the thing that I loved about it was the characters were so great, and the character development a lot of them got, especially Damon and Caroline, and it was just so great seeing all these characters grow and develop over the 8 seasons, especially since I watched them all at once. So my favourite characters in this show are Damon, Bonnie, Stefan at the very end, and of course the beautiful, the amazing Caroline Forbes. Once I finished Vampire Diaries I wanted more, and the Vampire Diaries has a spin-off for the original vampires, aka the Michelsons, and Klaus, for his small bit in the Vampire Diaries, was one of my favourite characters. Originally I was quite wary of watching the originals. Apart from Klaus, I didn't particularly love any of the Michelsons or really have much opinion on them, but going into the originals I was so pleasantly surprised that I just grew to love all the Michelsons. I enjoyed the originals just that little bit more than the Vampire Diaries, but that's just probably because it's an extension of the Vampire Diaries and it just felt like an extra season. We already know these characters, so there was no development stage and do I like it, do I not? I just fully went into it and loved it straight away. And what I think was so great about the Vampire Diaries and the originals that they're both very similar shows, obviously. We're in the same world, they're both dealing with vampire and vampire drama, but yet the two shows are so different from each other and they don't repeat the same storylines, and I am so very excited to see Caroline fall in the last season of the originals coming out in 2018, and I hope that she finally gets the happy ending she deserves. Why is it when I just get into this TV show and this world of Vampire Diaries, they go, you know what, I'm gonna take it away from you, I'm gonna destroy it, I'm gonna end it, I'm gonna crush your dreams and your heart and make you cry. I'm sad. Let me know in the comments below what your favourite TV shows were of 2017, and if you've watched any of these TV shows yourself and what you thought of them. If you'd like to keep up to date with what I'm watching in 2018, make sure to follow me on TV Time, link in the description. Thank you for watching and goodbye. Just know that I believe, and that's all I really need.